Well, welcome to another My Harlow My Life, and really pleased to say that joining me this week is, I suppose, a gentleman I first met properly, I suppose, when we went to a lovely trip to Maidstone, and has become a good friend since then, and for me, one of the legends of the club as well, and Mr. Michael Long. So welcome, Michael.
Hi, David. How we doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad, mate. But I mean, how's things with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a bit strange down here at the minute, and work-wise, nothing happening. It'd be good when this social distancing goes, but all in all, fit and healthy, everyone's well, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters, isn't it, really?
Yeah, well, I saw today that they were talking about pubs opening up in July, but only if you've got a beer garden.
Yeah. Well, we've got a garden, so that helps. The problem that we're seeing is July, August, it's like good money, and that's our winter money, if you like, so it gets us through when it's quieter. And if we've got to run at half capacity or third capacity, you're just never going to take the money that you need to get you through the winter. So, it's a bit of an awkward one. But the furlough and stuff's there till October now, so we've got a little bit of security. And, October's a long way away. It's changing week by week, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I suppose with Harlow, I mean, how did your love for Harlow sort of first come about? I mean, was it by chance that you went to see a Harlow game, or was you taken to a Harlow game, or how did that start?
No, so it was the year after the cup run. I remember vividly asking the old man to take me to Leicester, and he wouldn't because he was worried about size of the crowd and how it would be. And then I asked to go to Watford, and again he said no, they're going on a minibus and stuff, and wouldn't take me down. And the following season they advertised for ballboys. And one of my mates and a Harlow fan at the time, Gooner, Mark McKenzie, he messaged me and said, "Oh look, Harlow looking for ball boys. Do you fancy it?" And that was it. Season 81-82 started ball boying. I can't remember if we got directly into the first round of the FA Cup because of our run the previous year, or if there was one qualifying round before it. But we played at home to Charlton, lost 2-0, and that was sort of like one of my first big FA Cup games, if you like, with Harlow. And then ball boyed, I couldn't tell you how long, 6-8 years. Loved it, like absolutely loved it.
Can you remember what your first game was, though?
It would have been the first league game of the 81-82 season. I can't remember all it is. All I remember, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm an omen, aren't I? First season there, got relegated. And so we just had this great cup run, and things were all rosy. I mean, it was hell of a side. My maths teacher, Mickey Mann, was in the side. Back in them days, David, we'd have an away game and have to leave early on a coach. And, I'm in school, and I'll just say to Mickey, can you get me out of this lesson so I can come down and watch? Yeah, no worries. And, it'd take me down the sports centre from school, and, we'd jump on the coach and all go down there. Could you imagine now getting in a player's car? God, geez. Get done, wouldn't he? But that's how it was back then.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just tremendous.
Yeah.
But at the end of the season, we went down. So good start for me.
So what's your first sort of real memory of Harlow, other than the ball boying part? I mean, what's your first sort of match wise? What's your first real sort of memory?
Oh, geez. Honestly, mate, we've had so many. I mean, when I was ball boying, I think it was the first season, maybe second. We had a home game midweek, and it was either Haringey Borough or Harrow Borough. And I had this guy called Eggy, they called him, and his name would always stick with me. I think, Eggy, what sort of name's that? As a kid, you're just laughing at this bloke Eggy. And the fog came down, and I kid you not, I was ball boy, and I always did near side because I just like to be close to the crowd in the stand, So I always got to do near side and enjoy the banter as well. And I kid you not, I couldn't see the 18-yard box with this fog, and the referee plays on. I think it finished on like 5-4, but no one had a clue what was going on. Like, you just couldn't see anything, and the game's going ahead. And you think now you have like just a hint of miss. Oh no, abandon it. So that was like one of the real early games that sticks in the head. Yeah, this guy called Eggy for Harrow Borough, Haringey Borough, and fog, like, I mean, as you know, I went on to referee and officiate at conference level, and if you can't see your opposite assistant referee if you're on the line, then the game's like abandoned. That's how it is. You must be able to see all the officials. I kid you not, we couldn't see the 18-yard box. It was bonkers. So yeah, that's one of my first memories down there.
Who fans wise when you first got in there? I mean, is it I take people like Phil Tooser were there and that, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
who else was around?
Hughes a legend. I mean, he's got everything. That guy. When things changed at Barrows Farm, they wanted a new broom sweeps clean sort of approach, and there was lots of old history and stuff up on walls that they wanted down because we're new and we're going on. I mean, if it weren't for Choose, I think we would have lost a lot of the history of the club. But the post that he's done through this COVID stuff, I mean, it's kept me sane.
Yeah.
Absolutely, without any doubt, to be able to go on there and then I see Leo Cosenza. I mean, I remember Leo. Sure, he played number 3, and he had real big thighs. He always used to have his own pair of shorts that he cut the sides so they fit him because his thighs were so big. And I mean, as a kid, it's a stupid thing to remember, but Phil sort of got him involved, and Miguel Luque, he's doing comments, and it's just really good to say I was part of that, So Phil was there. Obviously, my bestie Ray, who I ended up being best man for, great guy. And then we had Scotty, Scott Alderman, Cy Jones. They were the sort of ones early doors, and then the crowd just sort of grew and grew. Simon came on board. And yeah, we just sort of got bigger and bigger. And then in the later years, we've had Legsy come on, yourself, we've had Buddha. And it's been really good to be part of them. Ian, a new one for the new ground. Yeah, it's just, a great bunch of lads. A lot of the time, we used to go away games, mate. We'd meet down a train station at 9 in the morning to go to Northwood, say.
Yeah.
And we'd go into London, and it'd be a bracken, it'd be beers, and yeah, it was just, that was non-league. That's what we did. And yeah, I just feel we lost it a little bit. So yeah, they were the ones from the early games, when we were the Owls, and we had pigeon crap all over the seats. You had your own name printed in pigeon crap on the seats in that sports centre stand, mate. It was bonkers. I'm not surprised. I think, what was it, 91, 92, something like that, when we folded for the year because it didn't meet standards. Didn't surprise me at all. That was long overdue.
But I mean, do you think over recent years? I mean, some of the fans have gone away and some moved away, but some sort of left the club. What do you feel as a spectator, and what do you feel the club needs to do to bring those sort of players back into the club, or do you think that they will come back into the club if we under Mark or a new manager or whatever else coming in the season coming?
Yeah. I mean, we've spoken lots about getting together, and for me, Tommy, it's Tommy's ship, and he sails it how he sees fit. I'm in business myself. I understand that, and he's got to do it the way that he feels is right for him and for the club. But I've been watching this Sunderland Till I Die. I don't know if you've watched that on Netflix.
No.
Absolutely fantastic watch over 2 seasons. But the second episode, Martin Bain, Chief Exec, Sunderland, and he makes a comment of, it's all right for me to be up here in my ivory tower, but I need to understand what's going on down there. I need to understand the passion, the pride, and what the supporters want. And for me, I'm afraid I don't think Tommy does that. It's more of a, let's have a wedding, let's have this, let's put a marquee up, and all this sorts of stuff. That's great if the money that's coming in then feeds the club and we kick on. When him and John Barnett took over, the plan was 5 years conference. I remember it vividly, and that's them games. I'm there, Eric's there, Scotty's there. We're all going. It's all like, come on, now we've got a bit of backing. Harlow is a big town, and we've always underachieved, Dave. We could go on and do so much better. But it's got to have the right man at the top. And yeah, I'm not sure with Tommy there that the guys are going to come back. I stopped going. I mean, I'll come up from Dorset on a Tuesday night in the pouring down rain to watch non-league football. People say you're mad, but when you're in, you're in. That's non-league footy for you. But it just felt a bit like he didn't care. So why should we care? He didn't care what we were doing. He didn't care what we were singing. He didn't care what money we were bringing into the club. It was all about that stand and the function room, and it weren't even busy. When I had the privilege of running the bar down at the sports centre, we had the two function halls either side, one for 250, one for 150. The members' bar was licensed for 150. And every Friday and Saturday night, mate, we were banging. I mean, we would do 25 litres of vodka, 25 litres of Jack Daniels every Friday night and every Saturday night. It was banging. And we just haven't got that. We've got the facilities as well to do it. It's sickening, really, for me looking in. And rather than fall out with someone, I'd just stay away because, I'd lose my rag or say something that's not fair. It's his ship and he sails it how he sees fit, but it's not for me, and it's not for Si, and it's not for Macca, and it's not for Eric, and it's not for Gary, and that's sad. It's not for Scotty, because they are Harlow through and through and have been for 20, 30 years.
Do you think Do you think he's? See, I sometimes sit and listen to what you said. I listen to other people what they say, and I just think sometimes he's misunderstood a little bit as well. I think I think the way he sometimes may put out being sort of like how can I put it? I think he's one of these guys who will always be there to help anybody, and that's how I've always seen Tom. I've seen somebody that if you're in, if you need that help, he's always there to help you. He'll always be there to help you do this. He'll always be there to help you. Yourself or any of them. I think if he knows, then he's got you. He will always. I'm not making myself clear properly, but he's very much he's very much there for everybody.
Tom's picked me up from train stations. He's dropped me back at train stations. Had his personal number and stuff when travelling to away games, or every game was an away game from me down here. And he would take me places just to help me out. I don't dislike the guy. I do, I really don't. But what he's done to the club, I don't see as right. I don't know if you were as aware, but I had a meeting with Carol Bothwell before Tommy took over to actually take over the club myself. But the money that Carol was asking for was just, it wasn't feasible. It didn't add up. So yeah, I ended up having to pull out. But there was a back page. I had like the Harlow Star onto me. Dave Rimmer, I think it was, or Alan, maybe Alan, someone. And they're saying a back page headline, mate: millionaire businessman looks to take over Harlow Town. Millionaire businessman, I wish. I don't know quite where they got that from, but because I've got a pub down in Dorset, I must be mega minted. But I'll never forget the headline. And it wasn't to be. And I think a non-league club should be run by non-league people, and Tommy's Football League and been there and done it. You can't not, what he's done is his playing career and stuff, but I don't think he understands that, like the passion, the pride and everything that's down at non-league. Let's have a supporters meeting, and they're cancelled like the day before. It even got to a joke. I think the last one, we're going to arrange a supporters meeting and meet the board and all this sort of stuff. And people were commenting, till the day before, be called off. That's what they were doing because it happened so many times. And sure enough, like 24 hours before it's going to go ahead, now it's been cancelled. Tommy's in Spain or Tommy's... I don't know. It's sad for me because, the guy's heart is in the right place, but I think it's all about the clubhouse and getting out of it there, and the clubhouse isn't feeding the football club. Whereas when I was with Jeff and Carol down at the sports centre, the money that we got in went back into the team and that,
Yeah. So I mean, away from that sort of side of it, I mean, whereabouts would you say, you've been there the first season, have got a bit relegated, been relegated to a real sort of disappointment. What about the following season? I mean, are we getting close now to, where were you when? One, I suppose, the failed move from the sports centre and
the Roydon Road.
Yeah, and what was your reaction with that? And then what was your reaction when we actually did move to the new ground as we are now?
I had a lot to do with the new ground. That was all going through, obviously, with Jeff and Carol, and I had the privilege of running the social side down at the sports centre. So, as a fan that's been involved for quite a while, I was invited into a few of the meetings, and it was really good to hear. And not long before, Chelsea had built what they called the Chelsea Village with the hotels and this, that, and the other, and that was Jeff's vision. The Harlow Village. That's what we can have. We can have a hotel up here, and we can do this and we can do that. And I think whether he was saying big so that the council, can't do that, but you can have this, and playing the game a little bit, or whether he really felt that was going to happen over time, before obviously his marriage issues. I'm not really sure, but they were good times, mate. They were really good times. And you're saying about the early doors. My first 4 seasons, so we get relegated year 1, we get promoted year 2, we get relegated year 3, we get relegated year 4 down to Division 3, like Isthmian League Div 3 or whatever it was. We've been the Isthmian, the Boxer Local, the Ryman. Yeah. I lose track of what we're called, But yeah, so 4 years we went down 3 times and up once. And that is non-league football for you in a nutshell. It's a roller coaster, an absolute roller coaster.
So, what can you remember what went wrong with the Roydon Road situation?
No. I mean, obviously, it all started. They started doing building and digging stuff out and that. And I think what was that? 90? Was that 90s, mid-90s? They started doing the first one, yeah. And I don't know why it went wrong. Nothing was ever really said, or I can't remember why it all stopped. Whether finances dried out, or I can't even remember who was in charge. I think Alan Howick had something to do with it at the time, and Alan was very much like Tommy. He was very much all about the business, whereas we were about non-league football and them guys that step over that white line. But yeah, I can't remember if money ran out or whatever for the initial one at Roydon Road, but we were always going to go somewhere. So when Barrow's Farm was on the go, Ray touched on it when you spoke to him the other day. We was all worried about the chimney pots, because the people that go, they've got to get there, and it is out the way. We were talking at one stage of going to Nicholsfield and playing there, and I said that would have been perfect, because you've got Potter Street and Church Langley and everything is all round you, and people just walk through the field to get to it. So that should always have been the venue. But I think then they were talking about the rugby club were going for Nicholsfield, and there was so much, mate, going on, and the bit of land that was there and was allowed was Barrow's Farm, and that's how we ended up there. There was a lot of concerns. We spoke about free buses from town to to the ground and that, to try and get people in, free minibus driving around the town, certain pickups from certain places, but it just never really happened. You can see Harlow Town will play Macclesfield and get 2,000 or 3,000. We'll play Leicester and get 9,000. The people are there and they're football people. They might be West Ham, Spurs, Arsenal, but if they had something to go to in the town, like a big FA Cup game, like a playoff final, we've proven that they come, haven't we? I mean, the proof's in the pudding. They do come, but it's got to stay there. So you get promoted, and your 2,000 then becomes like 1,600, then becomes 800, 400, 200, and what are we now? Teetering around 100 again. It's not right for the size of the town and the size of the club. So yeah, a bit of a shame.
So what was the difference?
Me, really.
What was the difference for you, though, social side of it? And you say like the bar and that was full up quite, almost every weekend, etc., etc. And then you swap over and go up to Barrow's Farm. Was there automatically a sort of a massive difference of people coming?
Yeah, I think just that the function halls were always busy. Now they weren't Harlow people, like supporters, but they're spending money and supporting the club by booking out for a birthday party, a christening, or a wedding, whatever. So they're financing us. And whilst we've got a lovely setup now where we are, it's never the size of what the sports centre was. So the bar upstairs, I don't know what that's licensed for, 100, maybe 150 size of it. And the one downstairs, probably 60 or 80. and that's just not the numbers that we had at the sports centre. So yeah, it's you know, better looking, but it's never the size, and therefore you're never going to get the income, and it's a bit out the way.
So
Yeah.
what's the plans then for the new ground for Barrows Farm? Was that a council plan, or was that the old chairman's plan, or what was
Yeah, so Jeff Bothwell, Steve Ray, Carol, Ron Bruce, they were the sort of people that were sitting in on the meetings, and Jeff had this massive plan. You know, it was this Harlow village, and rooms and conference rooms, and you know, that was the idea. But I think it was obviously the council giving us somewhere to go. They wanted the sports centre for the building, didn't they, and houses and stuff. So this is what we want. This is the size that it needs to be. Where can we go? And we really wanted Barrows Farm. We really wanted Nicholsfield. I think the other one, that cricket club down the bottom by Cannonsbrook Golf Club. There's that cricket pitch, isn't there? Yeah, I think that was another place that we looked at. And again, you've got all the houses the opposite side of the road there. Two perfect locations. It's no one's fault that we've ended up where we are. That's what was available. That's what was offered, and the land was there to do what we wanted to do. But for me, as lovely as it is, it doesn't quite work for location. Only location. There's no, you know, everyone's got to drive to get there. You can't get a bus there.
No.
If you could get a bus there, you certainly aren't going to get one home on a midweek game.
No.
You know, because they just don't run that way. So yeah, I think if we've got to be out there, we've got to have a bus service that serves it. And we have to talk to the council or whatever and say, but there's all stuff that we've gone over so many times, and no one ever does anything about it. So it's just like, okay, it's time to stop talking. It's not going to happen. So, you know, good luck, carry on, and I shall watch on video printer and stuff, and see how we're getting on, and I'll talk to the lads, and, you know, I'll stay in contact on the fans page. But, you know, 180 miles up, 180 miles back, Dave, on a Tuesday night to watch non-league football, I want to enjoy it. And when all my friends stop going, it's, you know, it's hard to make that journey and not be with the lads that you've grown up with through the club, you know, for 30, 40 years.
So talking to people that you grew up with then, I mean, how did the relationship between you and the man that plays the drum start up?
And now sits on his bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just met at footy and just sort of hit it off. You know, we used to take it in turns to drive to games and stuff. And I said him a little bit, you know, I took him to Wildstone, and this mad guy, he's literally chasing after me. I don't know what the hell I've done. I have no idea. But it's been after me for years. And we've like jumped in the car. I think it was the Chevette I had at the time, and just bombed out of Wildstone car park onto the high road. I mean, how we never got wiped out and killed? I just don't know. It's a busy old road. I've got this nutter throwing bricks at me, you know, and Ray's probably thinking, why am I in with this guy? You know, I'm sure I could have got in with someone more friendly. But yeah, I think, you know, people know I'm loud on the terrace. I'm very, very passionate. I love it. And I think it had a tendency to upset a few of the opposing fans, because maybe they weren't as loud as I was.
So I mean, you've got into we now moved sort of into Barrows Farm. I mean, what's your sort of first memories of the new ground? Games wise.
Came up for the first game. Gonna say it was where? I think the first game at Barrows Farm. Yeah, so came up and watched that, and obviously we're all the usual crowd, or the older crowd, have gone up there, and it's all, oh, we've got our new ground at last, and here we go, and brilliant. And then it, you know, it just didn't quite happen. I don't know why. I mean, the potential is there at that ground to add another stand behind the goal and stuff, and make it Conference South, Conference National. I mean, the potential is there to do it, but for some reason it's not happening. And when John and Tommy said like 5 years conference, we all sort of lived on that. And then, you know, maybe 3 years in, you're thinking maybe not, and 4 years in, you know, it's just another one saying the right things, but it ain't going to happen. And sure enough, look now, it just hasn't happened, is it? But we've had some crackers up there, mate. I mean, you look at Buddha goes up at 9 o'clock in the morning to put all the flags up around the stand. I mean, that's what non-league football's all about. And yeah, like playoff finals and Macclesfield FA Cup and
So what?
like singing.
What was that day like? What was the Macclesfield?
Sorry. Oh, Macclesfield. Yeah, I've got a story for that one, mate. So I left Dorset. I got the very first train out of Axminster, 6:02 in the morning, because the guys were meeting at something like 9 or 10 in Wetherspoons, and I'm like, well, I ain't missing out on that. It's like FA Cup, and all the guys are going, and that's what we did, So I'm on the 6:02, and train fare's £33.20. Never forget, I paid it week in, week out, So a woman comes up, said, "I'll return to Harlow Town, 90 odd quid." I said, "No, it's 33.20. She goes, "No, 90 odd pound. If you're paying on the train now, that's how much it is." This is 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, no. Like, come on, it's £30. No, you should have bought a ticket. I said, the ticket office is not open. Yeah, but you could have gone to one of the ticket machines. I said, look, with great respect, have a look at me. I've just crawled out of bed. I haven't seen a ticket machine. There's me rail card that I use like week in, week out. I'm not a fare dodger because I wouldn't spend 30 quid for a rail card if I'm not going to buy tickets. It's a waste of time. There's me tickets from, I think it's like 2 weeks before with 33 quid on it. Just cut me some slack. No, 90 quid. I said, well, I ain't paying it. So she walks off. Okay. When I get to Waterloo, I'll just buy the ticket at Waterloo. We pull into Salisbury, and there's 2 British Transport police on the platform. God's honest truth. And I looked out the window and I'm like, they're for me. I just knew straight away. So I get up, think I don't want them to come on and confront me. So I walk to the door. Are you the gent that's refusing to pay? No, officers, got on 6 o'clock in the morning, ticket office not open, didn't see a ticket machine, I'm half asleep, there's my rail card, there's my tickets from last week, £33. She wants to charge me 90. Oh. Do us a favour, run in the ticket office, get a ticket here. I said, yeah, but then I'm going to miss this train. I've deliberately got this. I'm meeting friends, FA Cup, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, you've got a 7-minute wait here at Salisbury. So run and get a ticket and you can get back on this train. So while I'm doing that, they're obviously talking to the woman. And she comes down the stairs as I'm coming back up onto the platform. And the copper says to me, I think she was just a bit of a job's worth. That's what he says to me when I get back on the train. And that's my memory of Macclesfield. And I'm thinking, what's that about? And then the next conductor, because they changed conductors at Salisbury, and the next one, good old ticket inspectors, comes up to me and says, "Oh, I've got yourself a ticket now." I said, there's no need to be like that. I just reckon she got out the wrong side of the bed. And this woman goes, "No, she's been on all night." I said, "Oh, in that case, she's tired." Turn around and carried on, looking at my phone or whatever. Yeah, that's Macclesfield for you. Get to spoons, get beard up, get called the troublemaker, and away we go. Awesome day that was. Really good.
So what do you remember?
Result.
What do you remember of the game itself?
I don't. I drank too much. I know we lost 2-0, and I know we were bloody loud. I think it was about 2,500 down there. It was banging, and that's why I'm saying that's what Harlow can do.
Yeah.
There are people that will go and watch them, but they want something to watch, and the diehards will watch Isthmian League Division 1, and Div 2 North, and sometimes 2 or 3 times I think Div 3. And when a playoff final comes for the Premier, they're all there. That everyone will come. So let's get in the Premier. Let's hold our own and let's push. And I have no doubt we'll get 2,000 for Conference South. No doubt whatsoever, because it's proper football. If that's the right words. Yes, that's my views on us going forward. That's what we need to do as a club to get the town on board. We are never ever going to get the town on board playing Isthmian Division 1, Division 2. More for the Premier, but we need to be Conference South to be the true Harlow.
So when did you move from Harlow down to Dorset then?
2002.
Right.
So we ran the club at the Sports Centre 2000, 2001. And when Jeff offered that to me, it was made up. Do you know what I mean? That this is my football club. It's Harlow Town. It's mine. I've been part of it since I was like 2 foot. Now I'm 3 foot. And it was just we're going to make this work. And it was banging, Dave. I mean, the social club, karaoke's at the weekend. Players would come in the bar after a game and they wouldn't go home till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you know. And now they come in, they eat their sandwiches and buy. Do you know what I mean? It's just not, it isn't the same now as it was back then. And yeah, to have the privilege of running the club was like just really, really good. Ian Allinson was manager at the time. And through doing that, I don't know if you're aware, I made 3 appearances for Harlow Town. So Ian came in on a Tuesday night, and we're going away to Thurrock, East Thurrock, I think it was, in a reserve league game, and he's got 10 men. Longy, you got any boots? No, I ain't got any boots. What size feet are you? Size 6. Oh, hang on, we'll find some girl, you know, because they were such a small thing. And yeah, I ended up going down to East Thurrock on a Tuesday night and playing for the Resis, played up front with Lee Claridge. Then the next night, we had another game away at Haybridge Swifts, and we only had 11. So he said, will you come along and sit on the bench for us? So I did, and I think I came on for his son, maybe Lee. Yeah, came on for like last half hour or so and played at Haybridge Swifts and Thurrock. And then we had a veterans game, so Spurs veterans. I put a post up actually the other day on the forum, because I lost all the memorabilia in the fire at the pub. But yeah, we played a veterans game, Spurs vets, Spurs legends as they are, versus Harlow Town vets. And Migsy Luque was the manager. And like I said, is there any chance I can have a game? And I'm a Spurs fan as well as Harlow fan. He said, yeah, definite. So I went to, I don't know, 5 or 6 training sessions we had out on the sports centre pitch. And then, yeah, the legends come down, Chivers and all them. And there was a guy called John Pickard, who was in the programme 2.4 Children.
Yeah.
He made a guest appearance for them, and I twatted him into the dugout with a juicily mistimed tackle. And so, yeah, to pull on the Harlow shirt, honestly, mate, the first one down at Thurrock, I'm like, what the hell am I doing in the changing room with these guys? And it was the Resis, but, you know, we had a few of the first teamers down there at the time. And there's little Mickey putting on a shirt to bail them out. And then I get asked the following night to go to Haybridge Swifts because we were so far behind on games. It was just, you know, it's like a dream come true. So I got to run the club and play for the club. And then nearly, you know, 2008, 2009, I think. Tommy come in 2010, did he not?
I think so, somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, so I had the chat with Carol, came down, had a chat down at the Barrows Farm. Obviously, we was in a bit of a sad state. I think our tax bill was 42 grand or something we was in debt for with a tax man. And then we went into CBA, a voluntary agreement, to pay off bit by bit and stuff, because we were so close to folding. But without discussing figures too much, I believe Carol just wanted a little bit too much for the club with the debt that it was in. You know what? Really, she should have been happy just to let it go and not have all the debts over her head. But it wasn't to be, so we couldn't agree. We spoke about managers and all sorts of stuff then, and you know, on the back of that, Marvin Samuels ended up coming down and managing for a year or nearly a year, because of a chat that me and Carol had and said, you know, you want someone that's it get the fans going. Do you know what I mean? Did when he was on the pitch, and I think that's the sort of person that we needed at that time. But yeah, it wasn't to be, so back down to Dorset I came.
So, I mean, let's stick in Dorset for the time being before we go over some more of the football. I mean, and I know it's not the nicest of subjects to talk about, but I mean, I remember us being at Ware, me, Ray, and all the rest of them, and we saw, you know, what had happened to your business and so forth on that day. That day must have been absolutely horrific.
Yeah, I mean, I was due to come up to Ware. The plan was to come up, but it was really, really busy. So, you know, when it's bank holidays and stuff, I tend to go by the first couple of days. I was never going to get up for the Saturday game, Easter weekend this is. So I'm thinking, let's see how Good Friday is, Easter Saturday, Easter Sunday. And if it's steady busy, I'll go up and watch footy. If it's mental, then obviously I won't be able to go. And it was carnage. I kid you not. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we probably did 2,000 meals. You know, we had the Easter quiz was 120, 130 people in doing a quiz on the Sunday night. Saturday night, we had live music on. Probably had 200 people in for the music. And all the time that's going on, man, the roof's on fire. You know, with the hindsight of the fire and the chats and the investigations, fire brigade said they reckon it's been on fire for about 4 days.
Wow.
So this hotspot had created. We lost some pointing in the chimney. Ember got through the pointing, latched onto the thatch, but inside the roof. And I said, well, how come like the smoke never got us and we never smelt it? And he said, well, the whole of the pointing, all the smoke's going back out through there and up out your chimney. You know, so your fires are lit, you can have smoke going out chimney, no one thought anything of it. Yeah, so 4 days, it's been smouldering away. Easter Monday, go on an Easter egg hunt, so I can't go footy, so we go out at 10 o'clock in the morning, get ready, you know, back at the pub for 12, walking around the village, fire engine goes past us. Must have been a car crash, you know, because we don't ever see fire engines when there's a crash down our way. And yeah, that's what we're thinking. And we were walking back towards the pub on this Easter egg hunt and saw a plume of smoke. I said, you know, don't really like where this plume of smoke is. Hang back a minute, I'm going to walk ahead. And as I walk ahead, the fire engine's outside the front of the pub, leg it. And then that was that. I mean, it went, mate, in like an hour and a half, really. It went from everything to nothing.
Yeah.
And to stand there and watch everything go, you know, I had like signed Spurs shirts, signed Harlow shirts, signed Harlow footballs. Like I say, the Spurs Depth game that I played in was just legendary for me, and I had my programme and pictures and all that. And to lose everything, and all we had left was the clothes we were stood there in. That is it. You're watching that the rest go.
Yeah.
So if you imagine, you know, what you've got on now, and then in an hour and a half, that is all you own. You have nothing else. No couch, you know, no curtains, no books, no teddies, no. They're bonkers, mate. Absolutely bonkers. And you know, then we had all the grief with the insurance, but the club were fantastic. I'm not sure who organised like some sort of collection. I don't know if Ian started it or, you know, if it was everyone's idea or what. I don't know how it come about, because all the lads had been down to the pub for Buddha's stag do.
Yeah.
You know, and we'd gone go-karting and that, and then like drunk far too much beer. Yeah, just had a cracking time. But I came up, they asked me to come up for a presentation, and I'm sure it was away at Needham Market. And, you know, they said, you know, really sorry for what's gone on, hope this helps, and gave me like £1,000, I think it was, that all the, you know, all my mates and the other fans and club and that had put in. That's, you know, that's non-league footy for you. That's mates for you. When the going gets tough, that's what it's like. I mean, I know I was in tears. I'm sure it was Needham Market. And yeah, I know I was in tears outside when they gave it to me, and then like went home from there on the train, just like really humbled. You know, it's like, yeah. It was,
So where was you staying while all this was going on then? You know,
they put us in a house just a little bit down the road. Initially, we weren't allowed another house through the insurance. I mean, they were criminal, but we won't go down that road because it'll take a week. Yeah, they were criminal, and we're not entitled to a house because it's our business that was insured. But I said, we live in our business. No, it don't work like that. You know, you should have had your house insured and the pub insured. I said, but the pub is the house. No, it don't work like that. It went on and on. I said, okay, well, you tell this 9-year-old girl and this 11-year-old girl that they've got to sleep on the streets. You go in and tell them, because I ain't telling them. You know, that's literally how it was. Then all of a sudden, okay, no, we'll pay for a rented house for you, and we'll pay rent, because my old man lived in the pub as well. So yeah, we've got another place for him to live in, which he actually stayed in the end, because you know, when the pub reopened, he really liked having his own little place, and it was so close to the pub that he's still there now.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end, they decided they'd pay for the house, but insured for £580,000, and the repair of the pub was £520,000. So, you know, just got enough money. That's okay. No, you're underinsured. There's £200,000. Like literally, just like that. Oh, I ain't going to bill with £200,000 when I need £500. Yeah, it went on and on and on, mate. It was a time of my life that probably took 10 or 20 years off my life. And it made me realise, you know, that there's criminals out there, mate, and they're allowed just to get away with it. So you can't not insure in business, you know. You have to have it. You have to have public liability and all that sort of stuff. but in the sad event that you ever need that money back, you don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, they do everything not to give it to you. But again, I'm alive. You know, if that was on fire for 4 days, that's
So
3 nights
yeah.
I've slept underneath that fire, you know?
Yeah.
So that's all that matters, isn't it, at
So,
the end of the day?
so when did you get the business back up and running? How long after the fire was it?
It was 466 days after the fire, 267 days to rebuild it, and it was July the 15th, 2016, we reopened. So we're sort of like 4 years in now. I mean, it's our 19th year down in Dorset. It's ridiculous, mate, where that's gone. And yeah, you know, it's never the same as it was before, but business was good, pro-COVID. You know, business was good, things were okay. And yeah, it's just a chapter in a book, if you like. And then this comes to get you. You know, I think I suffered after the fire, like really, really bad, personally. In the pub, you see 50, 60, 70, 100 people every day. And you're talking about golf, I can't stand, cricket, I can't stand, rugby, I can't stand. You know, but you have to know it all because you're behind the ramp and that's what you have to do. So it's a quick read in the morning, what's going on. And then all of a sudden you're stuck in 4 walls, you know, seeing 3 people, and it like drove me bonkers. I was ill, was in and out of hospital a few times. Now this has come round, it's probably the fire probably helped me, because now I'm like, well, I know what it's like because I've been out and not seeing people due to the fire, and this is the same sort of thing really, bud. So I'm just like, it's what it is, can't change it, keep an eye on everything, you know, and see what happens moving forward. But I'm not stressed like I was after the fire.
So where was you on that fateful day when you get a phone call from your best mate, and your best mate says to you, do you fancy coming down to Maidstone for a game of football?
He wasn't, mate, up to that day. Like, I mean, we've all spoke about this, and Ian's comment, I remember the last game, Mickey Long's made a blinding run on the outside of me or something, and I couldn't even kick the ball.
Right,
he made a blinding run. I couldn't move that last game. It's ridiculous. I don't know if that was ever a vets competition or ever a supporters competition. I don't know. I don't know if it was a misunderstanding or what. But that drive down, I've come from Dorset. I've got my brother to come round as well from Harlow. You know, he put in a shift for us as well. And I mean, it was ridiculous, mate. They were dropping like flies. Like everyone was getting injured.
And I can't remember who was the player. We can't put a finger on. We can't remember who it was. And I've got a sneaky suspicion it was Paul Fagan. I don't know, but it was somebody was fouled in the very first game against. I think it was against Sutton or against Maidstone, whichever one it was we played. And Effin Cuckoo fell on top of his leg.
That was my brother Steve.
Oh, was it Steve?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
hit his leg up completely, and that was him out after about quarter of the game straight away.
We were, honestly, mate, it was bonkers. I mean, what did we have? 14? It was tremendous, by the way. Cause,
absolutely.
You know, obviously, when I met yourself and Timmy.
Yeah.
You know,
I think we only had about 13, didn't we? I think we didn't have many more than 13, I don't think.
And then, like, first game, we've got 14 injuries out of the 13 of us. Second game, like, none of us are fit because we're all supporters and they're all ex-pros. And, it was comical, but wasn't it a great day?
It was a fantastic day, and I always remember we lost the first game because the keeper dropped it, and that was the only reason we lost the first game.
Yeah.
Remember, he dropped the ball. But it was one of those days where it was just like, as it was going further and further on, everybody, by the time the last game came up, I was in so much pain with sciatica, I could hardly move.
I thought because we were playing on 3G. I've never played on 3G in my life, you know. And
it was horrific.
3G trainers. I'm going to get these super trainers, you know, and go to the sports shop, and they got these special studs on. Lovely. I mean, I blisters like this, man. I blisters like this on the back of my heels, and it was like, what were we doing after 20 minutes? And I couldn't run. It was, you know, we just stood there with a shirt on and did our best, didn't we? But I thought that was something, as Ray said, it was going to go on every year. He was going to take it in turns at the other pitches. But, you know, that didn't quite happen.
Yeah.
But before your time, Dave, we used to have five-a-side competitions every season at Whitton. Yeah. They did a supporters five-a-side, and we used to do pretty good down there, man. I was in goal because it was the only time I could reach a crossbar. So always played in goal in the five-a-sides. And yeah, we had some real, I mean, they put on a hell of a competition and a great day, and all the fans would get together. I mean, we all just love our club, but we love non-league and we love footy. So yeah, we had some really, really good days at Whittam. And then we also went to one, I think, might have been Dulwich Hamlet. We had a five-a-side competition down there just one year. And they were so good, you know, for the lads to get out and get on the beer and have a game of footy. And then we started having the supporters 11-a-side games, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, we played a few of those. They're always a crack.
But I mean, I remember that day, Michael. I mean, I remember going down there. There was me and Tim in the front. There was Ian and Ray in the back of Tim's car. And we're travelling down there and we're just general chit-chat and all the rest of it. And I think we just got to the sign that said Maidstone. And to this day, I'm convinced that even though he said he didn't know, I'm convinced to this day he knew, because it wasn't until we got into the town of Maidstone, he brings out his phone and he starts, and I'm talking about Ray, of course, and he's ringing out and he's going, "Oh, I've just seen who Maidstone side, dump, 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 dump. Sutton side, it was after the side that had beaten Coventry in the FA Cup 10 years beforehand." And then when we get there, he's gone, and Tim's gone to him when he read out F and a cuckoo. And I can still remember it. It was just sort of like Tim, almost as if someone had got hold of his nuts in his hand, and he'd just gone, F and a cuckoo! Like, and when we actually get there, we get into the changing rooms and everything's going on. And then I remember one of them coming up to Ray going, "Oh, we're struggling for players. The Maidstone are struggling for players. So we brought in a couple of our under-21s.
Yeah, that's right. You know,
what?
We never had a hope in hell from the minute we got there. But you see, I wonder if we were only invited because they knew what we were like in the bar, mate. They knew we was a bunch of animals, and you know, Harlow would make the bar pay. Harlow would buy the burgers. You know, Ray will be queued up at the burger bar, and we'll all be queued up at the bar. And
well, that's what he thought. He didn't get away with that, though, did he?
I reckon that's why, you know, he did. He got stung proper. I think that's why we were invited down there. But that was, you know, that was a hell of a day. A hell of a day.
It was. But so going into
more of them, Dave.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't we organise something like that? You know, like Harlow say, right, let's contact X, Y, and Z and do a supporters, you know, or a veterans, or an anything.
It was something I was going to say to Ray before he retired, if I'm honest. I'll speak to Donna and see if we can see sort of something out. But going into that season, and I always say, I mean, I don't know how many games you got up to. How many games did you get in? Did you get up in the in the Whittam season? When I say the Whittam season, I mean
that's the playoff.
Just in the playoff final. How many games did you get up to in that season?
I came back from Greece a day early for that, right? And I got the train again up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to Whittam, and we never turned up, did we? We just didn't turn up. Oh my God, I was pig sick. I've come back on holiday, mate. I've come back from Florida a day earlier than the rest of the family, flown home on my own, so that I was back for the start of the season. When I was ballboying, we had family in Wales, and we used to go to Wales every year. And I came back, and first game of the season, home to Ware, and I had to ballboy, and I can't come home on Saturday, Dad. You know, I've got to go on Friday because I've got to be there for Harlow. And they put me on a coach at Cardiff, and my auntie met us at Victoria because I didn't want me going across London on my own. And I kid you not, I came home from holiday, from Wales, on family holiday, so I could ballboy Harlow versus Ware, first game of the season. I must have done, I don't know, 3,000 to 5,000 games.
But what about the game? So that season you was there for the Whittam game, you know, and you know that. But the season afterwards, which I said to Danny yesterday when we did do conversation with him in the last episode, and I said to Danny, I said, out of the two seasons, you got the promotion season and the season before against you know, when we got beaten in the semi-final.
Yeah.
And I asked Danny the question, which one of the two seasons stands out for him more, the championship winning team or the team that got beaten in the semi-final? Because for me, the season was a lot more exciting, the season that we got beaten in the semi-final, than when it was in the one that we got promoted, due to the fact that every day, I can always still remember almost every home game, me and Tom, because Tom used to come up and stand behind the side of me, and he was looking at my football web pages I'd have in front of me, and we were walking backwards and forwards behind the back of the chairs, to see what Leader Market were doing and refreshing it to see what everybody else was doing at the time. And it was one of those seasons where it was full of excitement.
It was the last game of the season, wasn't it, as well?
The Leader Market was the last but one game of the season.
Yeah, and then we
Way to
missed
need
in
them.
like the 99th minute or something. We had that one like
Craig
inside the
Pope, yeah,
6-yard box.
yeah, and Craig Pope put it
Oh
wide. Yeah,
my God,
yeah,
man!
yeah,
Like I can see it. Like just you can see it now, and it's like no. Um, yeah, I think the Thurrock year. It was Thurrock, wasn't it?
yeah,
4-3.
yeah,
Yeah. I think the Thurrock year was probably a better season,
yeah.
although the following year was like the result season, where we actually got it. Yeah, I've seen so many. So honestly, it's just the roller coasters. I'd like to go down at some stage and see how many times I've seen us promoted and how many times I've seen us relegated, because that's what it's been like. I've seen us in Division 3 and I've seen us in the Premier Division. And I think, highest we ever finished was mid-table in the Premier. I don't know, 10th, 12th, something like that is our highest ever finish. And I still believe that as a town we could go higher than that. Yeah, it's non-league footy, mate. It's just a roller coaster, isn't it, of emotions,
Oh,
and the
absolutely.
players that you see, over that time. It's just, yeah. Tucci's done a great job with this COVID and bringing back the memories. It's helped keep a lot of people sane, I think, and it's brought a lot of people back together again.
Yeah,
There's a lot of comments coming in from older fans that haven't been involved for a while.
yeah. But that championship winning, well, the playoff winning season, was you there for the semi and the final, or
Yeah. Yeah, no, the final was just final Sudbury.
the final was against Hornchurch?
Hornchurch.
So we
Yeah,
had
no, 3-1. Yeah, I
yeah,
was there for that. When did we play Sudbury?
that was
Um,
before that was the previous in the penalties, wasn't it?
yeah, I was refereeing that day at Radstock, and of course I'm at the game and I'm like not interested. I'm like, what's going on at Harlow? And yeah, I'm refereeing this Wessex League game, I think it was Western League game at Radstock, and half time going in, what's the score? Full time, we're done, and our game's gone to extra time. Lovely, I can have a chat with Ray and that and see what's going on. Finished all the signings and all the stuff that you do after a game, as you know. Get in the car. All I wanted to do was get in the car and have my phone on so I could be talking. It's gone to penalties. Oh, it was bonkers. So I remember that Sudbury one, the penalties, driving home from a game that I'd been refereeing. Hornchurch, was that when Lane got that
Yeah, yeah.
stupid? Oh my good God! I mean, I've seen some goals at Harlow, but that one's got to take some beating. There's that one from what, 30 yards,
Yeah.
35 yards, ping. You're never stopping it with 5 goalkeepers. And then you've got Martin St Hilaire, tremendous player, years gone by, winger, and I think we was playing at Wroxham in a cup game, and I think we won 3-0 or 3-1. He's walked the ball up to the goal line, stopped it on the goal line, knelt down and headed it in, and got fined a week's wages for doing it. Didn't get his match fee for that one and the next one or something. And then, so you go from the 30-yard screamers to the ridiculous. Yeah, I've seen some.
So some of the questions I asked Danny, sort of coming to the end of his chat. So for you, I mean, what was the best ground? Best ground you've visited as an away supporter. Your favourite team that you go to as an away supporter, and also have you got somebody there that was a player that when Harlow came up against them that you thought, oh my God, I don't want to play against this guy. So if you was an Arsenal fan, you'd say Didier Drogba. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? What is there somebody that you know?
I wouldn't say that we didn't want to play against, but the goalkeeper, Lee Carroll, I mean, obviously when you stood behind the goals and you're slating people, you expect a little bit back. But this guy, yeah, he was a prize one. And we always battered him. I think he went on to manage or own like someone like Barking or somebody like that, went and played there or managed. I went to watch him with Ray, and we're walking out the ground after, and Ray's like slagging off Lee Carroll, not knowing his mum's behind us. And it's like, oi, you're slagging off my son. And Ray turns around and goes, yeah, well, he's a dick or something, whatever he says. So he's the player that you remember. Wimbledon, AFC Wimbledon, I mean, that was ridiculous. That was a ridiculous game and ground and day. And, look what they've gone on and done. Worst ground, probably Clapton. Just always thought he was going to be killed. That was rough as hell. I don't know about best ground, mate. To be honest, there was, there was nothing. We was always nice at Barrows Farm. I mean, that was probably the nicest ground to go to. Sports Centre was a dump, but
Waiting for you
there
to
was
say,
really, really good grounds and crap grounds, you
I
know.
was waiting for you to say Tilbury.
Oh, Tilbury, what a place that was, and Raynham. You know, there was, I don't know if it was Tilbury or Raynham we went to, and they had a goat on the pitch eating the grass. Honest to God, when we got there, it's like, what the hell's going on here? And that was their lawnmower. This bloody goat going around eating the grass, and they shoo it off before kick-off. And God's honest truth, it's like, it's absolutely bonkers. But only in non-league, right?
But what about favourite Harlow player then? I mean, or you know, and
Oh,
manager.
yeah.
I mean, who's been your favourite player?
Unfortunately, I'll say management, and this is me, and we all have different opinions, right? And we all have different ideas. But my ball boying days, Dave Edwards, Dave Oddle, I mean, Ed and Oddle's Barmy Army, that's what we were. They were just legendary. Dave played, you know, lots of games for the club as well. And that they were like good times. He was a good manager, great rapport. Mickey Stevens, physio, you know, that was really good. And then like Danny of the new era. I mean, how many games has Dan done for us? People are knocking him about the last year or 2 years or whatever, but they don't knock him when we're beating Sudbury. They don't knock him when we're beating Hornchurch. You know, it's the best thing since sliced bread. So, you know, for me, Danny Chapman, excellent manager, good guy, had to deal with what he had to deal with. You know, I think this one season we had, I don't know, 60 odd players because of all these loans and stuff. He can't build a team. There is nothing he can do with that. All he can do is field an 11.
479 games.
Huh?
479 games he's been in charge for.
Yeah.
216 wins, 86 draws, 177 losses, a win percentage of 45.09, and from what I was told, he was in the 50s, like mid 50s, before the last sort of like 6 months to a year. So,
yeah. I mean, you can't. I can't knock him. I think he did all right. I think under the circumstances, I say you cannot keep bringing in loan guys. You can't do it. They'll only play 2-3, go 2-3, go. Next one comes in. You can't get a settled side. The fans can't get settled. You know, we spend ages writing songs for players. Like me and Scotty over the years, we must have written hundreds of songs for players, and there's no point because they're just going the next week and going the next week. It's just, you know, it all just got a little bit bitty.
what about your favourite player?
Oh God, legends. Bobby Harding, legend. Owen Griffiths, legend. Then we had the likes of Dingle, Stuart Inglewitz, Migsy, Dassey, all, you know, superb. Leo, you know, great defender. Piers Whitson, you know, tremendous. Paul Battram, dead ball specialist. We've had so many. And then Reedy, I mean, he for the newer guys, Reedy's got to be up there with like 7,000 goals in a season, whatever it was, 50 something too. Just tremendous. But Marvin Samuels, great fans player. My best player that I think I've seen over the years would have to be Marky Salmon.
Well, I said to Danny a couple of players, and there's two players that you know, for me, that I thought were just outstanding when I saw them. One being Danny Brown,
Tremendous,
and the other one being Fabian Sims.
Yeah. I think the thing for us, mate, all we want to see is commitment as fans. If you give 110% and you enjoy putting on that shirt, you lose 4-0, no one gives a monkeys. Like we don't, because you've given 110% and you've tried your best. And we've had a fair few like that, you know, over the years that have really, I mean, Brownlow is just a psycho. And Roy Parkin, guy called Roy Parkin, cup final, I'm sure it was a cup final, like East Anglian Cup or Essex Senior or John Knight Floodlit, one of them, and he twats this guy, like knocks him spark out. Might be, I think it was Great Wakering. Knocks this guy clean out, and another guy comes up and has a go at him, sparks him out as well. Cup final, and then he's, you know, straight red. He's walking off before he's got the red card, Roy, and he's walking towards the stand at the sports centre. And another guy comes to give him a bit, and he puts him down as well. He's like left free, sprawled out on the floor in a cup final. And you just think, what's that about? I was running the bar then. I'm going to say, that must have been 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. And like, you didn't want him in the clubhouse. I mean, it was just when the game finished, we won the cup, and the game finished, and it weren't about winning the cup. It's all about Roy parking and knocking these guys out. No, Terry Burns was like, he'd get stuck in. Graham Butterworth. I mean, he took us in his car to Saffron Walden to watch a game. You know, players taking it to games, but you know, rock hard, and just I've seen too many, mate. You know, I really have seen too many. But if I had to pick my favourite player of all time, Dave and Dennis Green. You know, Ray said about Haybridge, the 4-3, like when we put the bin on, Bernie put the bin on at half time, so get in there, you're rubbish, 3-0 down. Now that day, I was due to go to Alexandra Palace for a works Christmas do, and it was like a big thing. And I'm saying, I'm going football at Haybridge. No, you're not. You need to be back, you know, because we've got to get to Alexandra Palace. So I'm going to Haybridge, and it's extra time, you know. So we're 3-0 down. I think that's all right. At least I'll get back. I won't be in the doghouse, you know. 3-3, minute left. Oh shit, you know. There's no way I'm leaving if it goes to extra time. Now we come back from 3-0 down. And I've got to go, Alex, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then Dennis Green does this overhead kick. I'm sure he might have got all 4 goals in that game, you know. Does this overhead kick, and we nick it 4-3. And you just think, some of the goals and some of the players that I've seen. But Mark was just, I don't know, he just had everything. And Neil Moore, I mean, you couldn't leave in that. Neil Morrow, tremendous. Too many, Dave.
I mean, the two sort of incidents you're talking about, you know, where the guys punched the guy. I mean, the 2 incidents that I always remember at Harlow, one was away, one was at home, and both didn't actually involve a Harlow player, funny enough. But it was, I remember it was I think it was the season when we were chasing Needham Market. We went to Morden Tiptree. It was a Tuesday night game, gone down to Morden Tiptree. It was really a real nasty day. We dominated the game. We like pinging their goal like constantly, and all of a sudden, I was standing by the dugouts, not far from the dugouts, with the missus, and all of a sudden, Fabian Sims has gone out. I can't remember what started it, but Fabian Sims has gone for a tackle. He's on the floor, he's off the pitch, right by the dugout, and Cliff Ackerang, who was playing for Morden Tiptree, comes straight in and stamped straight on his chest, straight in front of the referee. And he's sitting there thinking, Jesus, is he alive? Because he didn't just step on her, he's really sort of stamped on him and got a red card. Got sent off, and you think, great, we've won this game, and then they go and score, and we get beat 1-0.
Yeah.
Then I remember a few seasons later, on I can't think what the guy's name is now. It will come to me in a minute, but he actually did play for Harlow as well after this, and he was in the crowd, and it was a really weird thing. He was in the crowd, and he wasn't playing striker, and he all of a sudden he's in there, and so it goes on. There's a bit of argy-bargy going on, and he jumps over the top of the wall. The fence on the dugout side, walks past the dugout, and I think he was at Tonbridge Angels at the time. He's walked past their dugout, and I think he was injured and he weren't playing. Walked past them, and he went into our dugout screaming and shouting abuse at Cyrus Gordon. And I think, what's going on here? The only reason I remember it is because he was carrying a carrier bag, a white carrier bag. Goes in there and starts going off, and then goes escorted off round the pitch, out of the ground, round the pitch into the office. And something else happened in the office. I won't go into it, but I'll tell you off air later on what actually happened, because I don't want to get that person in what's name. But something else happened a bit later. But it was that type of thing, and it was like, wow, what's that? And a bit later on, he's then playing for Harlow up front, and his name's going to bug me now because he's a top forward in the Isthmian League as well. I can't think of his name, but it was just one of those things where you think, hang on a minute, he's a spectator. He's jumped over the fence and got to give him a whack. It was just incredible.
Wade Falana, another legend, you know, that he was a nutcase, an absolute nut. But he was great. The fans loved him, loved his passion, loved his commitment. But yeah, I think Jeff Bothwell was the only one that could control that guy. He was just a proper loose cannon. And then there was a guy went in the crowd, I think it was Crawley, and it might have been like someone like Gary Monk or somebody like that. I can't remember if he got subbed, sent off or what, but he's going to the changing rooms, which were under the stand, and then got a load of abuse. So just, let's have it. And there's like a mass punch-up in the stand where the players were a bit like old bloody Eric Dyer a few weeks back. It was like that, and you're just thinking, this is absolutely nuts. But I actually, I took a punch from an official, Dave, when I was a ball boy. It was a game, I think we'd lost, I don't know, 4-0, 5-0, something like that. Ref had been poor, but we were worse. Do you know what I mean? And as a ball boy, you know, I'm not the tallest now, but I was probably bordering on 4'2", and officials were all walking off, and we used to sort of line the tunnel that they walked through before they went into the dressing room. They used to be on the left-hand side at the sports centre rather than the right as you look at the stand. They moved them over later on, but yeah, so they're walking into the dressing room, and the referee's coming through, and for some reason the linesman seemed to think that I was going to hit the referee, apparently. So he's grabbed, we had these horrible blue and green fleece tops that we used to have to wear. Why we had them, I do not know. They were horrendous, mate, anyway. And this linesman grabs the top, and as he pulls me back, he punches me in the back. Certain Graham Pole. So that's was, yeah, because he used to referee our games a lot. You know, he's a tring lad, and he refereed a lot of Harlow games, and obviously in his earlier days was an assistant. Yeah, punched me in the back as a ball boy because he thought I was going to hit the referee. Oh, what's that about? You know. So yeah, it's a funny thing, this non-league stuff, mate. You can get to it a bit.
Just some crazy stuff that you get to see, and as you say, I think Barrow's Farm is one of those grounds. It's when it's people in there and it's bouncing and the results going the right way. It always feels to me that you might only have 200 in there, 300. And I think I said to Danny, and maybe you might be in here, there was a game against Leiston in one of the cups. I think it was Leiston, the lower stuff, and we were losing, and then we came back to winning. There was probably only about 200-300 people in the ground, but on that night, the atmosphere was absolutely electric, and you felt like there must have been about 5,000-6,000 in there. Do you know what I mean? Because the whole place was just bouncing. It was
3-2. Did we win 3-2 after
3-2? So yeah, and it was just it was a real sort of comeback game, and all the rest, and it was just a crack.
I mean, we were loud, mate, weren't we? I mean, we had a good following, and we were loud. Like everybody knew when Harlow were in town, because we supported our team. You know, it's what we did. And I think we were pretty well known for it around the non-league. Some liked it, some hated it. But if you don't like it, don't be in non-league football, you know, for me.
Yeah. Was there certain managers, though, you as fans knew that, and I mean opposition managers, that you could get under their skin? Was there certain managers that you know you could definitely get under their skin?
For sure. Now, I want to say he was Thurrock or East Thurrock. I can't remember his name. But, I mean, he got some grief, he did, poor sod. I mean, you just get caught up in the passion of the game. And, I mean, this guy at Barrow's Farm, he got absolutely rinsed. And, of course, he's biting, which then makes it better for us. And, you know, Buddha does like to go down and have a word with a technical area, doesn't he? So he's down there, like, banging on the back and trying to get him out. Yeah, I mean, we had a few managers that bit, but he's the one that probably sticks to me. I'm sure it was Thurrock or one of those, Thurrock, that sort of area.
Was somebody like Justin Gardner somebody you could get under?
Oh yeah, another one. That over the years, as I say, there's been so many that you lose track. We had a guy on the bench that hit a linesman or hit a referee once, got done. Might have been in the season when we folded, like 92, 93. We were out the league for a year because of stuff that was going on at the sports centre. It wasn't ready. We didn't have a ground, and you know, I'm sure it's somewhere around there. Yeah, this guy hit a linesman or hit a ref, and you're just thinking, what is that about? Roy Parkin, what is that about? And there's been like loads of them.
So, last question for you. I mean, if say for instance, the news broke this afternoon that Harlow was no more, and there's going to be no more Harlow Town. Which, you know, touch wood, that never happens, but that happened. What would be your overriding memory? What would be Michael Long's overriding memory of Harlow Town?
It wouldn't be a game, mate. It wouldn't be a game or a player. It'd be the fans. It would be all the guys that I've stood there with and screamed and shouted, and the everywhere you goes, you know, that I used to lead, and it would just be the camaraderie, the surges we used to do, like Macca. He invented this surge, and you know, we're pushing each other down the bloody stairs every game. Every 2 minutes surge? What's that about? But it would just be the great friends and long-time friends. You know, let's say Ray, 40 years, Scott 30 years, Chus 40 years. You know, Simon probably 30 years. There's a lot of guys, Eric, 30, 40 years, and you can't buy that. Do you know what I mean? And we've had highs together, we've had lows together. Football, we've had highs together, lows together. Family, you know, with loved ones and that have passed away and things, and we've shared so many memories together through football and life. It would just be the guys. If you know, if it all went wrong, it would all be about them. And if we could, you know, we've had a chat. Macca's trying to get everybody, the old school, back together next season to all come down for a game and, you know, try and reignite it. I mean, I would love that.
Yeah.
We tried to do it with players, mate. A few years ago, Jeff approached Tommy and said, "Look, I want to bring back. I think it was about 15 Harlow players from the years. You know, any chance you'll comp them up, and we'll get them all down, and they can go around and see the fans and just have a bit of a day of like meet the old school." Not interested. No, that's all history. Don't want to know. But I think a get together of old faces would you know really be a good idea. And the friends I've made along the way over you know next year would be 40 years of supporting Harlow Town. It would be the mates I've made 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, mate, I really appreciate you joining us and sharing your memories of Harlow and that today. And hopefully you and the family keep safe, and hopefully we'll see you up for a game once the season restarts, whenever that's going to be.
Yeah, let's hope it restarts, But fingers crossed, mate. We will definitely get this fans all together. Maybe we do a vet fans versus new fans footy match.
Wow.
Maybe they'll let us have the pitch, and we could have that.
Yeah, but sounds good. Stay on the line. We'll finish now, and then we'll have a chat after. But for everybody else, listen, a massive thank you for watching what we've done before with Ray and Ian, and of course with Danny, and of course now this one with Michael. Coming up, we've got Ray. Ray's going to come on and do his. We're also looking at getting hold of Danny Brown as well. So hopefully we'll have Danny coming up in the next few weeks, and of course. Junior Dadson will be coming up in the further weeks as well. But I hope you're enjoying what we're doing, and we look forward to talking My Harlow, My Life on our next episode.